Is your fishing reel sticky and you like, man, I need to go buy another fishing reel? Well, don't do that. We're going to teach you guys how to fix your old sticky fishing reel without having to go to the store, spend a bunch of money. It's super simple. All you guys are going to need is one of these reel greases and one of these reel oils. Now, each of these were like $5.79, so that's less than $12 to fix your fishing reel. Now, this reel was like $100, and I don't want to have to go spend another $100 to buy a new one. So we're going to fix it, and I'm going to teach you guys how. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to disassemble this thing, make sure there's no gunk or anything in it, and then we're going to re-oil it and re-grease it, and it should be good as new. Let's start by taking off the cap and the spool. Most spinning reels like this, all you do is just unscrew this part of it, and then you can just lift, and it will come right off like so. Now you'll always want to do a pretty thorough inspection here, and as you guys can see inside of there, there's really like no grease in there anymore. It's really dry. And also on this thing, you know, there's like no grease on it anymore. So we're going to make sure that we re-grease that. It doesn't look, you know, right off the bat, everything looks pretty clean. So I think it's just going to need a re-grease. Now sometimes there will be fishing line and just a bunch of junk in here. Now, if your reel has that, make sure you wipe it all off. I recommend using like a Q-tip or something to really get in there and clean it all off. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take the handle of the reel off. Now, this is pretty simple. Some reels are different than others. This one, it has a little screw here on the back, and you just twist it, and it will come off. But some fishing reels, you actually have to hold the reel and like grab the handle and spin it, and the whole handle spins off. Now, this reel is obviously not like that. So we just unscrew this piece, and you'll see it's literally like a little screw. It's what holds the handle in. And I can already see it's really dirty, so we're gonna wanna wipe this off. So you pull that out, and yeah, you guys, I don't really know how well the camera can pick it up, but there's a lot of gunk on that screw part. So we're gonna make sure we do that. And now, the handle will just come right out, and yeah, there's like a bunch of gunk on that thing too. So we'll make sure we clean that off, and everything else actually looks pretty decent in here. You guys are going to want to just look in the hole on both sides and see how it looks, see if it's gross. But I'm going to go grab some Q-tips really quick and just a paper towel, and we're going to clean this out. All right, so we got our paper towels, we got our Q-tips here. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and start from the top of the reel and work our way down. I'm just going to take this, I'm just going to go in here, just wipe everything out. I mean, you can see there's a bunch of gunk in there. The top part of the reel was not horrible, but it did not look great. And just wipe everything down. I mean, make sure you get all of that old grease and everything out of there. I'm just going to do the same with this. I'm going to reel this all the way up where you can see that that is at the high point, and I'm just going to wipe everything out of here, which it all looks pretty clean still, but might as well do my best to just make sure I get all the gunk out of it. And you can see, I mean, there was some dirt in there that I'm sure is making it have friction to not reel properly. Do the same thing here. We're just going to clean out the inside of this. Ooh, yeah, that's real gross. That's probably what our holdup was, because in there does not look very good. Same thing with this here. Clean out the inside of our handle the best we can. You can also like lift up on that little piece there and just get underneath it and slide it back down. Yeah, and you guys can see there was a lot of junk in there. I'll wipe our screw off here, and I'll show you how much dirt was on that screw that you really couldn't see, but all of that stuff is making a huge difference on this fishing reel. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and we're going to take our oil and our grease, we're going to open them up here. And what's really cool about these is this is not just a one-time use. You could use this multiple times, or if you have another fishing reel that it works just fine still. Take it apart and clean it. You know, I mean, this is pretty much almost a running film, and I'm doing this step by step to show you guys. So once you do it once, you'll be able to do it really quickly, and I would recommend going and cleaning all of your reels. I purposely bought these for the video, but I have multiple of these that are already open that I clean all my reels with. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start from the top of the reel and we're going to work our way down. So let's start with the spool. So for the spool, I'm going to use reel grease here, okay? And just a little life hack for you guys. In the top of this thing is a little pokey. That's actually how you pop a hole in it so you get the perfect hole. And I'm going to use a couple Q-tips just to make sure I get that grease in there. Now you're going to take it and just squirt just a little bit here. You don't need a lot, but just squirt a little bit down in there. Okay, a little dab of it. And I'm going to take the Q-tip and just kind of spread that grease around. You know, we don't want a lot on the top. You just want enough to make sure that you're covering everything with fresh grease here. And that little dab will go a long ways. Okay, so we did that part there. We're going to flip it over, and I'm going to put just a little bit of grease on where the cap goes. We might have to dab it off there. And we're just going to grease everything up in here to make sure it all is going to function nice and smooth. This literally will make this fishing reel just like it came right out of the factory. Okay, so that is greased. We can set that to the side. Now, this part, I'm going to make sure, because I want the oil and everything to get all the way down into that bearing. And the bearings on these usually don't get dirty because they're sealed. So we're going to take our oil, and we got to cut the little cap off of it here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to just take some oil, and we're just going to dab just a little bit of it on there. And just spin the reel. Let that oil go up and down the shaft, down into the bearing. You just need a little drop. You don't need a lot. And I'm just spinning the reel, working the action of it there, you can see. And now perfect. So now we can function the reel all the way to the peak here. And we're going to take our reel grease, and we're just going to put a little dab on there. Take our handy dandy Q-tip here, and we're just going to put it onto, that was quite a bit. And we're just going to take that grease we just put, and we are going to grease everything up. These two little bearings here, we're going to grease them up. And don't be afraid if when you open up your reel, it doesn't look exactly like mine, because not all reels are the same, but they all are, you know, very similar in their own way. So perfect. That is nice and greased up there. We're just going to go ahead and spin this a couple times. Make sure that we just get that grease working down into the bearing. Perfect. So now that we have that all greased up, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to take the spool, and we're going to put the spool back on here. And sometimes you just got to kind of twist it, but it will fall on there. Take our cap. Top of the cap looks pretty good. And put it back on. Screw it down like so. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and we're going to take some oil, and we're just going to put some oil in here because there is two bearings. There's one on this side and one on this side. So we're going to take our oil and go ahead and just dab some in there. And we're just going to cycle the reel. And you can see down in there that that is spinning, and we're actually working that oil down into those bearings. And so far, I mean, that thing is a heck of a lot smoother. Now we're going to flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. Just a little dab. Don't need much. Then do the same thing. Cycle the reel. Make sure that thing's spinning. Get that grease and the oil all working as it should. So now, what you're going to do is you're going to take your grease, and you're just going to go ahead and just put a dab down in there like so. You don't need to smear this around or anything, because now we're going to take our handle, and we're just going to go ahead and push the handle back through like it should. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Just put just a little bit. You don't need a lot, just a little bit in there. And you might have to, you know, work it in there just because there's oil and it's not going to want to stick. And you don't need a lot. I mean, there's only a little bit in there, just a little bit, okay? Now go ahead and take your screw, got a little bit on there, and just put it back in, thread it back together. Now you don't want this part too tight. You know, just make it nice and snug, but don't crank it down, just snug where the reel doesn't move. And just like that, this reel should be fixed. Look at that, look how smooth it is. Look. And that is proven to work with basically any fishing reel. And you just want to make sure that you apply good amounts of grease, good amounts of oil, get all the gunk out, and you should have a perfectly good working fishing reel again for $12. We do a lot of how-to videos in that, whether that be fishing or fixing reels, or possibly we're going to be doing one on how to repair rod tips. So make sure you guys do leave a thumbs up, possibly subscribe if you are new to the fishing community or you just want to get some more knowledge. It will help me out, and I know it'll help you guys out in the future. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next fishing adventure or how-to.